Ready? Action. Oh, it is? Also. Welcome. We are back here at Northwest Sports Talk, here at the Waterland Arcade in downtown Des Moines. Here, I got Prim next to me. I got Mr. Baseball Scott next to me as well. Still upset about the Mariners not being in the playoffs. That's Scott's fault. But we've got some interesting things to talk about. We're going to talk about first is the big win that the Seahawks did over the 49ers. I was very doubtful for that game. I mean, I was really doubting my Hawks that game. We're going to talk about McDonald and John Snyder. What do you think about the progress as of right now? We're going to talk about the Heisman race. Scott's going to introduce us to that and what he believes about the Heisman race. And is it different from an MVP? And what is an MVP? That's what I'm so confused about. We're also going to talk about the Tyson and Jake Paul fight. Talk about the contract. Prim is going to dive into that with us today. And the WNBA. Scott has been pushing my buttons about this WNBA. So he's going to get into that a little bit. And when we talk about the portal, we haven't talked about that part, what happens when someone enters the portal and they do not get picked up. We haven't really talked about that. So we are, like I said, we are back here. And let's talk about the Seahawks win. And if I could throw it out there, how impressed were you that they beat the 49ers? Now, don't say because Kerry Kittle's in play. Bosa didn't have the fourth quarter. I know you're about to go there. But from the eye test, they look physical. They look fast. Linebacker play has improved. You had touched on that. You called that. Hey, you couldn't call it no better when he said our linebackers were sucking. And I wasn't seeing it. But obviously, Richard Sherman brought up the fact that they were both high-grade pass linebackers. You know, good at covering. And I think with a McDonald's system, you need linebackers to do both, right? Wagner, that wasn't really his strength as a covered linebacker. So they thought that those two would be a great addition and remove Wagner. And it shows out that but at the end of the day, as a linebacker, you got to thump. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather take a linebacker that can thump than a linebacker that can cover and can't thump. So were you impressed with the Seahawks victory? What did you see? I'll start with Prim, jump over to Scott.
Impressed probably isn't necessarily the right word, but I was satisfied. I was satisfied because what I did see was talk about this all the time. 11 hats to the ball, right? You could not look up and not see these Hawks swarming to the ball. Everybody was getting to the ball. And one of the things that McDonald talked about early on when they started asking him how much of his playbook was actually being implemented, he said he couldn't get to his actual playbook because the fundamental portions of it were not there. Now, what is the fundamental portions? We talk all the time about as defensive players, you have to earn the right to rush the passer. What does that mean? That means you have to begin to stop the run. If you cannot stop the run, you never get to pass downs, right? So what you have is a situation where, and here you go, right? Ready? There's a pass play that's over the middle, and what I have not seen all season was Mafe bat a pass down over the middle. And I said, hold on. That was on third down, and that started to the fourth down, right? Okay. So now you're able to take your players because you're doing the fundamental things, stopping the run. You cannot And I think when we start talking about Dotson and we talk about Baker, we're not talking about a situation where those two linebackers are just good in coverage. They're good in coverage. They're also good tacklers. The one problem that you find is with your middle linebackers, your inside linebackers, cannot over pursue. Over pursuing will put you in a position where you're opening up holes and gaps for cutback lanes. You're allowing things to happen that should not happen naturally within the flow of the game. Now watch this. You turn around and you move those two guys out, right? You turn around and you get Ernest Jones in here, and if you watch him, he is slowly and methodically stalking the running backs. He's I'm coming down the line. I see the hole that you're looking at. I'm looking at you through the hole, right? So he is already in that position. Now watch this. The one thing about Tyrese Knight being a rookie and being young, he don't know what he don't know yet, right? So what he has to do is he's coming in trying to fill out the situation, which is good because that means you're not over pursuing. When you have two linebackers that think they know what they know, they over pursue and they do a little too much. So I'm excited about that. Here goes the other part. When we watch that offense, man, when I watched Abe Lucas come in, we talked about how that right side was just a wide open rotating door. No speed bump involved. You just go in that joint, push the door, and it spins around and you're in, right? That's what we've been seeing with pass rushers coming off that right side for the past 10 weeks, right? So what is the change? We say that the right guard is no good, right? We say, I figure out, should we play Christian Haynes? Should we play Anthony Bradford? Who should be that guy in there? But what happens is when you bring a Abe Lucas in, who comes in and covers that side, now there's a veteran who has the ability to anchor, right? And actually, he also has the ability to help out. There's some continuity. There's the ability to pass off defenders, right? These guys was passing them off into open holes. The only problem I saw yesterday, last week, and it's going to be the thing that I that's killing me, is how long are we going to keep Charbonnet in this system? Charbonnet lacks explosiveness. Charbonnet lacks the ability to understand big moments. You're a big back. If you don't punch this ball in this hole, why are you trying to bounce it outside? You're not Ken Walker. Like let's just make that clear. So those are some of the things that I saw, but I'm excited because I love the way that Geno played the game in the crucial moments, right? We talk about it, right? It's like there's hiccups. There's like bonehead decisions that pop up every so often. I guess if you throw the ball 50 times a game, that's going to happen every so often, right? So there's so much. There's just so much. And I can ramble on and that, but that last play to win it, yeah. We've been watching our wide receivers. Do this thing for a while. Is that you see JSN do it a few weeks ago, and we seen it earlier in the year with DK, where DK hands and runs a guy into the end zone while Kenneth Walker runs in behind him. Right? We watched the same thing with Njigba not too long ago. He did the same thing and it got the receiver open. When those DBs are playing man coverage within the 20 yards, within that red zone, and they have their backs turned to the quarterback, if you don't take off running, I don't know what you're doing or why you even playing this game. So Geno played a hell of a game. The line is improving, and I think that defense has found something.
I'll agree with everything you said. My thing I saw was, like you said, the O-line is and that's, in my opinion, that's our biggest downfall at the moment, is that O-line just hasn't solidified what Seahawks football knows as an offensive line. Other than that, I think the game was a well-played game on both sides of the ball. And I was happy to see that we came out and took over on that.
Oh, when we look at Prim, we talked about the replacements. Josh Jobe, Tyrese Knight, Kobe Bryant. I'm missing Jones on here as well. And I want to talk about Tyrese Knight because when you look at him and doing some stats, he had over 450 tackles in college. So he has a lot of experience, and he's a great tackler. And I was watching some tape. I was watching some podcasters break down the tape. I think one was Top Billing. I like to watch Top Billing.
Yep, I like that one too.
Watching him engage with offensive linemen.
Yep.
And that's what they used to say that about Dotson and Baker is they would cower when it came down to mixing it up with the linemen. And also the fundamentals of breaking down, shedding, not over pursuing, knowing what gap, what angle to attack, and just knowing how to play linebacker.
Yeah.
And they look like, when you watch them be cohesiveness towards each other, they seem like Bobby Wagner and oh my
KJ.
goodness. Who?
KJ Wright.
KJ Wright, right. Because listen, I played a little semi-pro with Jeremiah Farms. He came over when I played for the Hawks of the East Side, and he came over. We played linebacker together.
Yeah.
And there was a flow that if the lead blocker came to my side, I'm gonna blow up the fullback. We used to talk in the huddle. I'm gonna smash the fullback, but you better make the tackle.
Right.
And vice versa. We go to your side, you smash the fullback, then I will make the tackle. So to have that trust, and as a linebacker, you cannot be afraid of a 350-pound lineman. There's times your 230-pound self. I used to get this analogy all the time. You take a smaller truck and a bigger truck, but the smaller truck has more speed, so it gets to the higher speed faster, so you can actually break down the larger vehicle. You know what I'm saying? The same thing with football. You might outweigh me by 100 pounds, but if I can get to top speed before you get to top speed, I'm knocking you on your keister. That's just physics, I guess. You know, but a linebacker, you have to have a certain type of nastiness, and that's what Jones and Jones is the biggest. He's almost like the MVP of the season right now, because when we got him, he said, "You're getting a dog. You're getting a dog," and it seems like the whole defense has started acting like dogs. You know what I'm saying? Like they're growling. They're like, you know, when it comes to the D line, it's getting a push. They're manhandling some of the players on the San Francisco 49ers. Witherspoon is playing like Witherspoon, but it's just contagious. And the same thing could be said for Abe Lucas. He was, when they were both rookies, even though the left tackle was a higher draft pick, Abe Lucas was the better tackle.
Oh, yeah.
Abe Lucas was a steal. Yep. I think we got him, fifth round? Third round?
Yep.
He was a steal coming out of Washington State. I don't even know who he was. But watching the tape, watching him bully, push back, and that's what we've been missing.
Yeah.
And sometimes in football, it's all about looking at the person next to you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like I feel stronger going into an alley with someone I know who can handle themselves than somebody I know that's weak. Like, oh man, I'm gonna have to fight both of these guys.
Yep.
You know? Yep. And that's what I'm loving about it. And Kobe Bryant has been a baller. And he's been a surprise. Which surprised me because I saw glimpses when he first moved to safety, and I thought he should get more opportunity. But now opportunity has presented himself, and he's played himself into a role. Yeah, and Jenkins is what's his name? Jenkins, number 2 from Jacksonville. Yeah. He's coming back.
Yeah.
So now they're gonna have to figure it out. I mean, it was a good problem to have. So when you talked about not being physical, it seemed like that's happening. Not being able to stop the run, it seemed like they're fine tuning that. And now we have Geno Smith. He is a wild card. He is a wild card. Some people love him. Some people don't. Some people want a top tier. You know, and if we go in the draft and try to pick somebody else, you're going to miss what we had in Geno Smith. Now,
Right.
my mom used to always say this. If you talk too much, you're bound to say something stupid.
Yes, sir.
If you throw the ball more than any quarterback in NFL, you're bound to throw away to the other team.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's why Pete Carroll didn't want nobody to cook.
Right.
Because he wanted to play it safe.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I guess we can go into the next question because it kind of cohesiveness together. When we talk about McDonald and John Snyder,
Yep.
their regime together right now,
Yep.
what's consistent with the Pete Carroll Snyder regime, and please both of you chime in on this. They made the most moves out of any team in the NFL history. Remember all those transactions, getting rid of everybody?
It was 280.
Yeah, exactly. Now, McDonald came into a better situation, had better players. But to just cut people, because they were going to cut Connor too. I heard they're going to cut Connor, the center, before he retired. Yeah. So him being able just to, you know what? You don't have it for my system. You're gone. I don't know if that's a Snyder thing or McDonald thing, or it might be just a teamwork thing. Because it seemed like Pete.
I don't think either one of them actually made that decision. Came together. They talked about what they both have for a goal and noticed that Coleman was not going to fit. They noticed that other players that they've cut just weren't going to fit their goal. And in order to get their goal, they knew they had to cut certain. I don't think there's been one player that McDonald and Snyder have cut together that wasn't a mutual decision.
That was always the MO for Pete and John, right? They would come together and the Connor Williams thing, it was just obvious and apparent that this is just not going to work. He was supposed to be he was supposed to be that guy. But when we look at it, single-handedly, you have lost us 2 games. I mean, single-handedly, you have lost us 2 games. Like
guaranteed 2, possibly 3.
Okay. So let's run it down. So we're talking about the what game was that? That was the Rams game, right? Is that the game? Yeah. They were on the goal line twice. First time you snapped the ball 20 yards over Geno's head. It wasn't 20, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. It was way over his head. And then the next time you're on the goal line and you step on his foot, fundamentally taking 14 points off the board, a minimum of 6 points. And what was that game lost by? 3?
Yeah, I think it was 3. Yeah.
So realistically, you are a problem here. And the thing that you want to have is you want to have veterans that actually are able to help your players build. You brought the Jones part, right? Yeah. You talked about Jones, right? So when Jones came in, he came in bringing a sense of nastiness and toughness. First thing he said, what did you say? He said, "I'm a dog. It's what you getting is a dog." Yeah. Right? So that dog mentality comes, right? Yeah, man, come on. But they have to be raised up under us, right? Oh, yeah. And a lot of these cats that we see now, they don't have that dog in them. Rashad Jenkins coming back. I'm kind of concerned in that situation, only for one reason. Kobe Bryant is playing out of his mind right now. He is reading and he is seeing and diagnosing things in coverage and where to lay the thump down at and where to be. Jenkins is a dog too. Jenkins is a dog. The only problem that I have is, so now where does he play? Yeah. Because now you're looking at it, you got Job on the field. Job is balling. Job is not, I mean, realistically, I don't really hear his name much in the game. You know when you hear a player's name a lot in the game, especially a corner, is when he got beat or when he ended up getting a penalty. I don't hear Job, and I don't hear the receiver name either. Job has been a better, and I hate to say it like this, but he's been a better corner playing man coverage and press coverage than Woolen and Witherspoon. And that, whatever reason that is, been doing that job well. That's why they're allowed to take Witherspoon and move him inside and to play that nickel. So what happens now? Trey Brown don't cut it. Unfortunately, Mike.
There you go, living in the past.
But in either situation, right? It would have been a situation that when it came down to cut day, one of the two were going to go. Yeah. So they were going to have to cut either Brown or they were going to end up cutting Jackson. So you could get something for Jackson. Probably couldn't get anything for Brown. So that's why, yeah. So, but at least Brown plays well on special teams. So my thing is, it's probably a good thing that Kayvon Wallace got hurt and went on IR, because with Jenkins coming back, now you have to figure out, where does he play? Does that mean that Kobe comes off the field? Does that mean that Witherspoon has to get pushed back out to the boundary? It's a question. And Jenkins is a big physical safety. He's not he is as thick as them two middle linebackers that you had. You know what I'm saying, that you got rid of. But he actually comes and he brings the thump. And so you bring that into the situation, right? And you look at, and we ain't even talk about it, was we thought the defensive line was cool and it was solid, right? We had Leonard Williams, we got Jaron Reed, we got all the dogs, and we got Murphy down there, and we got Draymond Jones sliding between DN and outside linebacker, right? That little thing. But when they brought in Roy Robertson or Harris, Roy Robertson Harris, that came in, that boy came in and he showed that he has physicality. And we are going to be physical on his D-line. You have to be good on all three phases of that game. That's that D-line, that linebacking core, and in that safety core, and that secondary. I'm looking at that situation, man, and I give John and Mike credit to say, hey, this ain't working. It's time to move on. Because the move that they made with the linebackers signifies that. And again, when we talk about it, the thing that we miss on the Connor Williams deal and the Jerome Baker deal and on the Dotson deal is he recouped money in those situations. Because he waived Dotson and Dotson got picked up. That contract came up off our books. With Connor Williams retiring, he gave money back. Trading Baker for Jones, it was a wash in the money. So realistically, I can't be mad at John Schneider for what he's done. And I believe that I think what happens in that conversation, Mike says, John, this just ain't gonna work. And when did that happen? When did all that transpire? All that transpired in the midst of a bye week. What happens during the bye week? And this has to be the case with all teams across the board. You have to do some self-scouting. You got to look and see and be honest. Is my team where it's supposed to be? And am I doing everything right to help them out? No? Okay, then let's figure out what we need to do. So I love what they've done. And I think that being honest, remember, John Snyder's the cat that let Percy Harvin go in week 3 of week Super Bowl 50? That week that they came out of the 49. Before we went to 49, they got rid of Percy Harvin. Why? Because he was a problem in the locker room.
He was a cancer.
I love Harvin. I thought Harvin was a solid character. Just like I love Gino. You know, I know sometimes we sit there, but you have to be hard on those guys that you love, right? Because I expect more out of you. So I think that when we talk about McDonald and Snyder are doing everything they can to try to make this thing win, right? Why? I think Snyder's job is on the line in this deal. I believe so. I believe so. Look, if you can't fix, and you're telling me that Pete Carroll is not able to fix the problem, well, let me put it this way. I had a conversation with a gentleman the other day, right? And we were online, and he was talking about, well, if you cut Jerome Baker, cut Dotson, why didn't you just keep Wagner and Brooks? No, they was leaking like a sieve too. Like, how do we not fix the personnel issue? Yes, Bobby Wagner works for a particular system now, right? Dan Quinn's system, where he became a Hall of Famer, was in Dan Quinn's here in Seattle, right? Everything was funneled to the middle linebacker. All you got to do is make the tackle. Bobby was getting in there making tackles and making tackles for loss too. So Bobby did his job and exceeded his job. When it comes to this thing, playing this 3-4, you have to be able to cover in pass downs. KJ Wright was a monster covering in pass down situations. That was those games we watched where he was yanking up Darren Sproles and throwing Sproles around the field, right? So you have to really understand that Bobby Wagner wasn't going to be the fit, and Brooks wasn't going to be the fit either. Brooks had the same problem. When we talk about not taking on blocks and being able to take on blocks, shed blocks, and make sure you make the tackle, that wasn't his game. Although he's going to give you 20 tackles, 10 to 15, he's good at that, right? But he wasn't good in pass coverage. So what you did was you turned around and you found him and Snyder came together and they found a guy in Tyrese Knight, right, that has all the traits of what I want in my linebacker. I don't see it on film, but I know he can do it because I've seen him do it. We brought him in for a workout, and I showed him what I want done, and he actually got down in the pre-draft workouts. So it's a teamwork situation between the GM and the head coach and them actually sitting down and having honest dialogue. I don't know if y'all pay attention to how he talks about Grubb, how McDonald talks about Grubb and Grubb's system. He's not always happy with the way that they do things. He's actually been a little bit more active in the offensive meetings nowadays as he's going forward. I need you to run the ball. I need you to be more physical. I need you to go ahead and put these guys on their back. That is the fundamental breakdown for our actual team, offensively and defensively.
Before we go on to the next one, I think the physicality is contagious because I saw Kenneth Walker body slam. What's number 2? What's the name? Lamore? I said, oh, that looked like – and the announcer said DK Metcalf because he's known to do that. So I saw – man, he just picked him up and body slam. I said, okay. I want to get into I want to stay on this briefly because I want to really get into the MVP. I want Scott to really dive into that. Did you watch the physical game, the most physical game of the week? Pittsburgh Steelers and Baltimore, right? That is the biggest rivalry in the NFL, right? Supposedly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, matter of fact, I had my Russell Wilson jersey. I left it. Hey. Our only Super Bowl winning quarterback. Put respect on his name. But anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. So
I'll put respect on the team, not his name.
Should the Pittsburgh Steelers be considered America's team? Matter of fact, I want the arcade. Anybody around? Should the Steelers be considered America's team? And this is why. This is my argument. They have always had the same identity, even when they were losing. Physical brand of football, right? Get at you defensively, run the football, be physical, right? And they've always been, it seems like they've always been relevant. For like other teams some have not been relevant. Cowboys have not been relevant. The Green Bay Packers at times not been relevant, right? When I think of America's team, and it goes into the blue collar aspect of Pittsburgh. Get what I'm saying? Is you only have a couple of prima donnas, so to speak, that's played there. Antonio Brown, right? And who else? Le'Veon Bell, interesting characters. But it's more like a team, though. You know what I'm saying? You got your intense guys. You got like Harrison, things of that nature. But who? The two, no, you talking about the long hair? Mr. Commercial, dandruff commercial, Palomalo.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Palomalo. Yeah, but he wasn't a character as far as a distraction, though. He was just intense. But it just seems like they are always relevant towards the playoffs year after year. I don't never remember the Pittsburgh Steelers ever being bums. Every team has had that crown. Right? I mean, if it's not Pittsburgh, then who? Go ahead, Scott.
I don't think there is an America's team.
Well, we have to crown one for the sake of the argument.
No.
We have to. What are you doing? What are you doing?
We can't go.
Listen,
with
you're making our executive
team.
producers very upset right now.
That's nice. I don't care. I'm sorry.
Okay. If you had to pick one.
To be an America's team,
Okay.
you have to be a team that can be united across the nation. I don't see one NFL team that has a huge fan base throughout the entire nation.
Oh, Pittsburgh has a lot.
They do have a lot. But
Yeah.
I've been to places where the Browns have actual bars on the West Coast where Browns fans literally go every week and watch. I don't see bars with Steelers fans. I see that there are bars and joints where, you Cleveland Browns fans, you get the Kansas City fans, you get the Detroit Lions fans. I do not see places where it is 75% Steelers fans, other than in Pittsburgh and surrounding area there.
Interesting.
So if I were to pick an America's team, I'm going Detroit.
What?
I would go Detroit.
When have you seen a Lions fan outside of this year?
Oh, I've seen Lions fans all over the place, bro.
What?
There's
You hear that?
there's two bars in
He
LA
said
that are
Detroit
strictly
is
Detroit
America's
fans.
team. You've been watching too much BMF, Black Mafia Family.
Hell, I'd take Minnesota over Pittsburgh even.
Let me put it to you like this. America loves a winner. Plain and simple. If we actually had to crown somebody and call them America's team, and they're starting to get to that point, like the Patriots did. Well, and I think that within the last, I guess it's been about 10 years since Andy Reid's before, right? He's been building actual history, and he's actually been building a legacy of what he wants to leave in KC. The only team that rivals Seattle in the loudest crowd in Seattle or around is KC. Arrowhead is one of the hardest places to play in as far as volume and sound. But when you turn around and you look, okay, hold on. I'm a Seahawk fan. And I wanted to jump up and just slap you, Bogan. Hey, man, look. First off, I don't dislike Russell's contribution. I understand. Dan McGuire.
You probably like Stan Gelbaugh too, didn't you?
But when
Brian Bosworth.
But when we look at those situations, we have to understand that there was more than Russell, and Russell had the benefit. He had the benefit of being able to mess up because he had a generational defense behind him, and he had and like I told Scott last week, I said me and Bogan disagree on this. I said, but he had a generational running back behind him. You know what I'm saying? See, there you go with that. So I'm watching.
There you go.
I look, but for me to be a Seahawk fan and to know that Super Bowl 40 was played in Detroit, both of you guys is out of pocket. You with the Detroit, you with the Steelers. To be a Seahawk, we got robbed. We got robbed.
We didn't get robbed.
We
did not get robbed in that game. We just were not allowed to play that game.
We got and I'd be wanting to keep this PG, but we might as well.
We had no chance of winning that
Man,
game. The refs were not on our side.
You were right,
period.
Scott. You were right, Scott. And that game, I feel like the Seahawks as an organization got their colon scoped at that point. I mean,
I think they went a little further
dirty.
than the colon there, buddy.
I mean, but we got did dirty in that situation.
Oh,
so
big time.
There's never what's going on, my man. there's never going to be a situation or time that I look at Pittsburgh and I say America's team. I hate
Never.
the Steelers as much as I hate the Raiders. I hate the 49ers. Come on, keep going. LA Rams. We go back to man. Look, take your team and throw it down a ravine or a cliff. I hate them guys. I'm an AFC West original hater, and I'm a NFC West hater. I'm gonna be that, but when it comes to Pittsburgh, there's a special spot of hate for them. Though I like Tomlin.
I got a question. When is Mental Illness Awareness Month? Because I got two representatives right here. Whoa.
You only want Pittsburgh to be America's team because you're such a fan of Russell Wilson.
No, I don't want them to be. I don't want them to be it. But in reality, the two biggest, I guess, attractions are Pittsburgh and Dallas. Dallas has been so wash.
And that's
for
why
so
they're an
long.
attraction.
Yeah, so
That's like
I'm
going to
tired
a
of
freak show.
hearing
You go
about
to the
Dallas.
freak show because you know what you're going to see, something
But-
freaky. You go to watch a Dallas game because you know you're going to watch them lose.
But the Pittsburgh Steelers is the blue collar of what made America great. Not the red hat that the politician wears, but the blue collar aspect that made America great is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And what the Okay, hello, checking microphone. Okay, so I said what I said. I believe it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. He believes it's Detroit. Matter of fact, he said even Minnesota, and I don't know nobody that likes to go to Minnesota. But with that being said, go ahead, Scott. You've got the floor here. We're talking about the Heisman race, who you got and why. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
All right, so first thing we wanted to talk about was what is the Heisman? Okay. So the Heisman is the award for, according to the Heisman Foundation, it's an award for the best college player. Now, their definition of best is that's the player of the year, period.
Travis Hunter, we're done.
Not necessarily the MVP, because an MVP can be per division, per team, per whatever. The Heisman is the overall best player. Okay. Now, statistically, throughout the history of the Heisman Trophy, no two-way player has ever won this. It is given to a quarterback or a running back. Statistically, according to the history of the Heisman, it's never gone to a two-way player. The highest awarded two-way player was third. And that was just a few years ago. I can't remember who it was, but it was third. No two-way player has ever got. Even when two-way playing was extremely common, it was never given to a two-way player. It's almost always gone to a quarterback or a running back. Now, to determine who the best player is, what do you use? I look at stats. Now, I don't look at
Stats are liars.
stats are liars, but stats give you a basis to look upon.
Stats for nerds.
Yeah, only because you don't look at that. You just look at, Travis Hunter's been playing 145 downs a game. That's nice. So it's a quarterback. Wait, so I've got the top 6 right now. These are the 6 that are in the running for the Heisman. You've got Travis Hunter. You've got Dylan Gabriel, Ashton Genty, Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, Cam Ward. Now, out of those 6, you've got 4 quarterbacks, a running back, and a two-way player. Okay? Now, you've got stats to look at. For Travis Hunter, you got to look at offense and defense because he plays DB, he plays wide receiver. In all of those stats that are available for individual stats, he is not in the top 10 of any of them. Not a single one. Dylan Gabriel. He's in the top 10 for passing yards. He's in the top for interceptions thrown. tied for 28th with the most with 6, which that's actually pretty well because it's the top 1, top 2, and top 4 are pretty well separated. Then all of a sudden it goes to a bunch of 7s, a bunch of 8s, a bunch of 6s. And then he's 9th in passing touchdowns with 22 passing touchdowns. Okay? It's an okay stat. But he's also on the team that's ranked number 1. Okay? So that I think that's what puts him up there in that Heisman running. Got Ashton Genty, running back. Leads 95% of the stats you could possibly have as a running back. He leads in passing yards, total yards, yards per game, rushing touchdowns. In fact, the closest guy to him with rushing touchdowns is missing like 5. He's down by 5. He's also got an average of 16 points a game. So he leads every offensive category you can other than quarterbacking. Okay? You got Jalen Milroe, 44th in passing yards, but he's tied with Gabriel with number of interceptions. Not in the top 50 for touchdowns, so I don't really think Milroe's going to get it. Jackson Dart, he's 3rd in passing yards, 9th in touchdowns, and he's tied for 43rd with the most with 4 interceptions. So he's got the least interceptions thrown out of the quarterbacks that are in the running. Got Cam Ward, who leads with passing yards with almost 3,500. Okay. Another fact, Ashton Genty is just shy of 2,000 for the year. Just shy. Needs 180-something yards. He's going to get it. Okay. Touchdowns, Cam Ward's got 33. Leads. Tied for 28th with interceptions with 6. Out of all these guys, I've got Genty and Ward are the biggest front runners.
Are those mathematical equations I see on your page there, sir? I mean, I'm looking at the page.
That was just me figuring out his average yards.
I'm just like there is calculus on this man's page.
No calculus.
He's doing calculus to figure out who should win.
You got
the
multiplication. There ain't no calculus. But
so you ready?
I'm ready.
Jim Thorpe played before the Heisman actually was ever awarded.
Correct.
Jim Thorpe was a DB.
Yes.
A running back.
Yes.
And a little bit of everything. That's why the best corner wins the Jim Thorpe Award.
Yes.
Travis Hunter, what he's doing, Ashton Genty, outstanding running back, right? Terrific running back. But when we look at running backs and the impact of running backs, the thing is, for a running back to be as successful as he is, there has to be a line that is doing a whole lot in front of him.
He does have an offensive line. I will give him that. But the thing that stands out the most with Ashton Genty, for me, is yards after contact. He averages 5.7 yards after contact.
I can't argue with you on that one. But what I'm saying is that as an individual,
he's blowing that division out.
Well, Travis Hunter can change games by himself.
He can.
Kickoff return.
But that's that key
interception.
Word. That's that key word, though. Can.
But does it impact?
But does he do it every game?
But,
no.
But at the position that he plays, it's hard for him to do it every game because you're not throwing in his direction, right? As a corner, and then you still, him being on the field as a wide receiver, he still doesn't get the same looks from Shedeur. Why? Because there's other wide receivers out there, and what are we doing? We're rolling coverages to Travis Hunter. There is statistical things that cannot be quantified as far as the impact is concerned for a player like Travis Hunter.
Correct.
So when we look at it, that dude that steps on that field, put it this way, when Travis Hunter went down, was it last year? I believe it was last year.
Yeah.
They struggled. On both sides of the ball.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Shiloh had great games helping out at that point in time. But what we have to remember is, I get it. The best player, I look at it, I say, okay, the best player in college football. I'm looking at it from the spot of not statistics, but who has the greater impact on the game. And Travis Hunter has that hands down.
No, I understand that completely, and I do agree. He has the biggest impact. But impact doesn't necessarily mean that you're the greatest. It just means that you have a persona or a significance where they feel they need to cover you more, not necessarily it's proven that they need to cover you more.
I think a great coach once said, "We play to win the game." Okay?
Yes.
We don't care about your statistics. If when you're on the field, we know that we got a chance to win it, you're my guy.
I got a question. Okay. I'm trying to find some receivers that won the Heisman. Let's throw out some names. Give me some receivers. Because I have one receiver. Desmond Howard. Did he win the Heisman? Yes or no? Okay, yes or no? Was he the best wide receiver that year? From transitioning from college? No, I want to know.
In the pros?
Yeah, in the pro. Who?
No.
So
never even translated.
So now, my understanding of the Heisman, I always thought the Heisman was for the most. I mean, we can look up the definition. I thought it was the most dynamic player in college football.
Player.
Where's that at? Where's that paperwork at? I've always thought it was the most electric. Right? Because, I mean, that's what I've always thought. Because a lot of times the Heisman doesn't go necessarily to the best player.
No.
Because Okay. Devontae Smith, Tim Brown, Desmond Howard. Now, Tim Brown was, I think, the best in his class.
Now, Tim Brown is one.
Tim Brown was a different
Hall
beast.
of Famer all the way around, Heisman and Hall of Famer.
So how come the Heisman Trophy winner doesn't always go number one? If it's the best player, and I'm just being a devil's advocate here.
So when you look at a situation, let's take.
Just think about it. How many times has a Heisman Trophy winner went number one? I can only think of 3. Top of my head.
I'm sure they're all.
Was it Matt Leinart? Keyshawn Johnson didn't run.
Running back. Was it Barkley? Barkley won the Heisman, didn't he?
What's his name? Didn't win the Heisman either.
I remember the debate. Oh my God. Okay,
God.
So okay.
No, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say that again. Who?
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield.
Tyler,
Okay.
Burrow. Number 1. Okay.
And that's terrible.
And how? Yeah.
And that's terrible. And the only one, and the only one that is not basically the judgment is not out on is Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow done struggled for the last couple years since his rookie year going to it. Man, come on. So anyway, Kyler Murray, and we gonna find out about Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Kyler Murray's a beast. We didn't even talk about the upcoming game. But when I look at the Heisman, and I look same as I look at a Hall of Fame player, that Hall of Fame sometimes they have watered it down with these numbers and stats. Like I said before, if stats was everything, numbers was everything, Emmitt Smith would be considered the number 1 running back of all time, and he's not even top 10.
Ooh.
So numbers are kind of one of those things where it matters, but it doesn't matter.
So you're saying that Emmitt Smith has the same benefit as Ashton Genty?
Yeah, I would consider. Hey, listen. I believe Terrell Davis is better than Emmitt Smith.
I might.
And
have
his
to
career
concur.
was
cut short.
Cut short because of injuries.
Yeah,
he should be in the Hall of Fame because at his prime, nobody was better than Terrell Davis in his prime, which was like 2 years, maybe 3, maybe 3.
Hold on. And goes back to the same thing, right?
Yes.
Impact. He won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did.
He
gave John Elway a Super Bowl.
Yeah. With a migraine headache and wasn't going to touch the ball the rest of the game. But they had to keep him in the game. Why? Because they were jumping to see if they could get to him.
If the Denver Broncos would have had a better supporting cast, you'd be talking about John Elway as being the GOAT.
Right. But
Yeah, they would. But he
But
lost five. What did he lose? 5 Super Bowls? Maybe.
well, then we talk
Maybe.
about LeBron James. In the
Every
same
quarterback
aspect,
should cry,
I guess.
baby.
But when we look at it, quarterbacks are always going to be the front of every Heisman watch. That's just the way it works.
Boo.
And unfortunately, we take the skill position players
Yeah.
and we put them to the side.
Steve Entman should have won the Heisman.
Who did?
Steve Entman should have won it.
Okay.
For the Huskies.
I got it.
He was dominant. What are you talking about?
I'm trying to figure out.
He was arguably the most dominant defensive lineman in the history of college football
That sounds like the hometown Heisman
in the
that
early
you're,
90s, 1991.
I know exactly what it
1990.
was. It's the only time we won
He
the
was
championship.
He was ferocious,
I know he was.
but he's a D lineman.
Yeah, but there's okay. Yes, I get that. I get that. But they had a monster squad on that defense.
But I'm talking about the year before when they lost to Oregon. I think that was his best year. Remember when they were
You're talking
undefeated?
about 90?
Yeah, when they were undefeated towards the end of the season, they lost to Oregon and they crushed their national championship goal. Remember that?
Okay.
Oh, that was a heartbreaker.
So 91 was the year that they went in.
That's when they were fully loaded.
And here's the thing though. Does the Heisman really matter? Who wins it? Does it matter on draft day? Not really. No. Because once they have gotten it, how many of these guys?
It was like getting a Little League MVP award.
You went through a litany of quarterbacks that won the Heisman. That some of us look at. Did Gino Toretta win the Heisman? Other former Seattle quarterback, but yeah, he got drafted by Seattle. Yeah. So think about how many. Well, hey, man. Well, hey. If we go back and we look at the Heisman winners and we look at their career and what they've done as a career, it has not been. It's been very lackluster in that situation.
Okay, so let's go. You were asking about where the paperwork is on this the award.
Go ahead, come on.
Okay, right here in their mission statement for the Heisman Trophy, it says the trophy is annually awarded to the outstanding college football player in the U.S. whose performance epitomizes great ability combined with diligence, perseverance, and hard work. Not impact.
I thought only churches. I thought only churches had mission statements. What? The Heisman Trophy Trust mission to grow the legacy. Where did you find this?
The Heisman website. Thank God for the internet.
Wow.
Got a list of all the winners and everything too. And did you know they even have a podcast? I don't know. We can find out.
We got to rename our sports talk show to
official Heisman
Northwest
Trophy
Special
podcast.
Sports Talk. We are the Northwest
Weekly
Special
conversation.
Sports Talk.
It's on Spotify.
God is ready to be fit for his helmet and drool bag.
I'm just saying. I understand your idea that impact is important for the trophy, but impact does not equate performance. And it looks like we're about to go to break here. When we come back, we'll talk about that Paul and Tyson fight.
Yes, ma'am. Let's get it. All right, all right, all right. We back here at the Waterland Arcade, and our
Yeah,
big brother,
we're back.
big,
The important ones are back.
big man Bogan, Lavelle Bogan, had to run off to a conference of some sort. So we're gonna close this out. We got a couple things to talk about. Scott, last week we discussed the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight.
Yeah, we discussed this non-fight fight.
Right, this pillow fight, and there's been a lot of rumors.
There's been a lot of rumors. There's been a lot of video evidence.
Well, and the wonderful Joe Rogan, the purveyor of truth that he is, he came out this week and he pulled out some information about what was actually in the contract. And one of the things that they talked about that was in the contract was that if Tyson had knocked Jake Paul out in the first round, he would basically take home basically no money. The longer the fight went, the more money Tyson made.
So, like I said, they was in cahoots. The fight was not going to go down like they promoted it.
So then it also comes out one of the Hall of Famers, great NFL Hall of Famers, who is a Cowboy, Michael Irvin, says that the contract also had another stipulation. Mike couldn't throw the uppercut in this fight.
I wonder why that would be.
Probably because it's been the one punch that put more people on the canvas over the last 30 years of his fighting career that we've ever seen.
Now is that the reason, or is it because Jake Paul's jaw is made of glass?
Well, we'll never know. It's kind of like that Tootsie Roll pop. How many licks does it take to get to the center of Jake Paul's jaw? We'll never know.
Right.
The question being is, at what point do these contracts just become scams? Like, realistically, if this contract information is correct, like I say, it's been rumored and speculated.
Right. Nothing's been proven yet.
You know, and it's an alleged thing. But realistically, when we pay attention to it, are we being scammed into watching something? Because what happens is, as long as you have views, you make money.
Right.
So Netflix got us all to watch something that was never going to be the thing that we wanted to see.
Right. And what did they get by promoting and putting on this fight?
New subscriptions. And if you have a subscription, you ready? If you pay for the $6.99 subscription, what else runs in $6.99 subscription? Ads.
Yep.
So you get sponsorship money. So I mean,
Netflix definitely did what they needed to do to make money.
Of course they did. They did everything that they possibly could to make money. And then on the tail end of it, now you've given Jake Paul enough legitimacy to actually line up.
But did you really?
Hey, look, they're lining up a fight, an actual heavyweight fight that with an actual champion.
With who?
Ali's grandson. I can't think of what the cat's name is right now. I've seen the cat fight. He's the real deal.
Yeah, but Mike Tyson was a real deal too.
But not at 57, though.
No. You watched his training videos. Tell me he did not look like he was a late 30s fighter in those videos that he was training.
That dude that was in those training videos, and be honest, was not the same dude that walked out there.
Oh no, that's where I think you're wrong.
And I don't know
think
what
it
happened.
was the same dude, but because, like you said, if Tyson knocked him out in the first round, he wasn't getting any money. So the longer the fight went on, the more money he made. Anybody in any sport like boxing, UFC, the other MMAs, you're there for the belt, you're there for the championship, you're there for the title, but what's your biggest motivator? The money. Are you going to go into a fight, even in your prime, are you going to go into a fight and knock someone out in the first round if you know that the knockout's going to cost you everything that you could possibly earn? Hell no.
No. And I I would almost imagine. Again, we talked about boxing a little bit last week, and me being a Bernard Hopkins fan, I'd be trying to find every way to hold you up and beat the hell out of you at the same time, the best way I could for 8 rounds.
And that's what I would have done. But you could see, especially when you watch some of those videos that are shown, in that first round when Mike threw that first haymaker right hand, he pulled it. If you watch, before it even gets close to his face, he pulls his hand back and never hits him and makes it look like it's a missed swing.
The body shots.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was much on them.
Right. He was not out there fighting like he was training. He was out there to put on a show because that's the way Jake Paul had it
But did
written.
he, though? But did he put on a show?
He did for the first 30 seconds. He made it look like it was going to be a fight for the first 30 seconds.
So contractually, this was a contractual farce in the making as it was coming up.
Yeah, it was contractually, it was made to make Jake Paul look better.
And to prop him up.
It boosted him. But that's the thing. He's a promoter. He's not a boxer. I don't care what anybody says. The boy did not start boxing at 13 like he tells everybody. If he started boxing at 13, his TikTok videos, Musical.ly videos, whatever they were back in that day, would not have been him dancing around stupidly to Taylor Swift songs and shit like that.
Well, you got to work on your footwork.
You watch those videos. He was not working on no damn footwork.
You got to work on your footwork.
He's a promoter. He knows how to make something sell.
Well,
If he gets into the ring with Canelo,
who is this? Matter of fact,
or this other heavyweight that you're talking
I
about,
gotta
if he
look this
gets
up.
into the ring and actually has an actual fight with him, he's gonna get dominated. He's gonna get slaughtered. It's gonna look like Layla Ali against Steve Urkel.
I think Steve could pinch a little bit. Steve might make that thing work a little bit.
Steve had some footwork.
He's got tremendous footwork. Let's see, because I'm really trying to figure out who it was, and like I said, they were talking about Ali's grandson, who is oh, you said Canelo?
Yep.
Yeah, it says Canelo Alvarez will accept Jake Paul fight
Good.
on one condition. I don't know what that condition is. I had to look into that a little bit more, but
Yeah.
it's
Condition is Jake Paul gets nothing unless he knocks out Canelo.
I'd watch that.
Oh, I'll watch it just to watch Canelo whoop his ass.
I'd watch that. That'd have to be it would have to be another Netflix experience.
Oh, that won't be on Netflix.
There's going to be, realistically,
I don't see another boxing event being on Netflix.
I'm telling you, there will be. I'm telling you, there will be, because the and look, we already know that the NFL's coming to Netflix.
Yep. They're
In the end of this year, they're going to have some games on Netflix.
Yep.
They are setting themselves up. Netflix is setting themselves up to be one of the providers of live sports entertainment.
They're gonna have to figure out that buffering issue that they had, though.
Man, you better get a better Wi-Fi system or something, because
Yeah, because that was ridiculous. 30% of the public watching that match didn't even get to see half of it because they were buffering.
What? You talking about during the Tyson fight?
Yeah.
Oh man, no.
There were so many people throughout the entire broadcast that were talking about, oh, I can't even watch it. I have to connect my phone's hotspot to my TV to watch it.
Well, hold on. What did they miss? What did they miss?
They missed a really good fight between them women, though.
Did they not get the early part? Because ours buffered for us like that long.
See, mine only buffered during the Tyson entrance.
Right.
That's the only time mine buffered the whole thing. But I was watching online because I was doing other things while watching the 3 fights before, and a lot of people were complaining about how they weren't able to watch nothing. They weren't connecting because it was just buffering the whole time. And then during the Tyson fight, there were people complaining about how right in the middle of a swing, all of a sudden it just started buffering.
So, look, waste of time, right? The whole Netflix experience, as far as the fight, was a waste of time. Other than them 2 early fights that we alluded to last week.
Imagine what's going to happen when they have the NFL.
Well, and imagine.
Oh, here goes a 60-yard pass. Buffer.
Well, when we talk about the ladies that fought, right?
Yep.
Let's talk about this WNBA.
All right, let's talk about this WNBA.
Let's hear it.
All right, so we've got 3 highly talked about college players in college basketball for girls. You've got Haley Van Lith, you've got Paige Bueckers, and you got Juju Watkins. Okay, these 3 are like the Jordan and Steph Curry and all these Vince Carter back in college. Not saying that they're putting up that kind of numbers individually as it is, but they're talked about the same way that these guys were talked about back in college. Okay.
So you're saying that they're going to pass up Caitlin Clark.
Paige Bueckers is looking like she could be the next Caitlin Clark. That's the way they're talking. Okay. Now, Paige did play 1 year with Caitlin at Iowa.
Okay.
1 year. But she decided to go to TCU for her final year.
Okay.
And she's dominating there.
So
she's expected to go number 1.
The hard thing for me is hearing that, right? And you threw out Vince Carter, threw out Michael Jordan and Steph Curry.
Right.
I'm more inclined to think we're talking about 3 Steph Currys more so than the because when you say that the one player, the female player that came out that I was enthralled with at one point in time was Brittany Griner. Because she was actually dunking in games.
Yes.
She was manhandling these young ladies in games.
She was. She's a very physical player, and she still is. She's a very physical player. But Paige is putting up numbers. And I mean numbers. Like, I wrote some of these down. I know you don't like stats.
No. Come on. I see the calculus again.
So she's averaging, career-wise, 17 points a game.
Okay.
This year, she's averaging 18.9 right now.
Is that a lot? Is that a lot?
For women's basketball, that's like a third of the points.
That's a third of the points in the ladies' basketball?
Yeah, they're only scoring like 60, 70 points a game. Okay? She's shooting 30% three-pointers.
So this is why I guess I'm not
73% from free throw.
What?
73% free throws.
So you got to get that number up.
You got to get that number up. Shaq couldn't get that number to go any lower.
Well, look. we know Shaq was
but now you've also got, other players. You got Juju Watkins. She's averaging 26 points a game. You got
okay. Now you talking.
She's 30% on her 3-point. She's at 84% on her free throws.
That's what I'm talking about.
And she's a beast of a guard.
And she's dunking.
I don't think she's dunking.
She's
but
doing the.
she's a physical guard. She's
Oh,
big.
I bet she is.
She-
I bet she
she's
is.
big. Like right now, she in 6 games this year. Okay, they've only played 6. She has 161 points, 45 rebounds, 19 assists, and 14 steals as a guard. That's big, and she's at USC.
June. Yeah, you're gonna be at USC. Yeah,
Okay.
that's.
Paige, she's a senior at UConn, loving it.
And so they just started this year.
Yeah,
Season-
they just
season
recently
just
started.
started.
Yeah, it's only a couple of weeks in. They're literally only 6
Okay.
games, 6-7 games in.
Okay, yeah. We're gonna have to watch some of these.
But these people are these 3 standouts have been standouts the last 2 years.
Okay.
And right now, Paige is expected to go number 1 to Dallas to the Wings. There's an expansion team with an expansion draft coming up here in December, where the current WNBA teams can only protect 6.
So okay, well let's. Bottom line is of WNBA, right?
Yes.
Is this going to help them increase the dollars?
Yes. I think this is. I think these 3 players paired up with Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Brittany Griner.
Asia Wilson?
Yeah, even Asia Wilson. They are going to bring in a fan base to finally bring the WNBA to light. To the point where it was back when it first started with, you had Sue Bird and those
Tina
originators.
Thompson
Yeah. Remember the spotlight that the WNBA had on in that first 2
but,
years?
But the problem that they had. Do you remember what those first 2 years were like? They were clamoring to actually have places to play.
Right. But
They're
now
still
they've got
trying to-
places. They've got an expansion team coming this year. If I remember correctly, Portland is getting one next year.
But at some point, and it's the same question that they have with us, them doing expansion for the NBA, right?
Right.
Is diluting the actual talent pool. It's because like you said, you're going to pull players off other teams, right?
Right.
Not that there's not very many teams that have like major superstars in the NBA. I don't care what nobody says.
No.
When we go back, we look through the 90s and the early 2000s, you would look at teams and you can say, oh, well, Ray Allen's coming to town to play. He's coming with Sam Cassell and
Right.
We got Gary and Vin
we had-
Baker and them cats. gonna
Yeah,
play.
we had Kemp and Vin Baker and Detlef Schrempf and
so-
Gary Payton.
So when we look at that situation, are they doing a disservice to themselves by expanding because the talent pool is not that great already? I'm serious. Like there are some WNBA games that they're hard to watch. They just are.
There are. But I think they're doing this right. Because it's been, 10 years since they expanded?
Has it?
I think so.
It seemed like they're expanding every week.
No.
It's like what are the Las Vegas Aces?
Yeah, but that I think that was the last expansion was the
Was that the
Aces.
last?
Yeah,
I
I think
mean-
so. But I think they're doing it right. They're not doing it like, every other year they're expanding. Right now they're expanding 1 team this year. Next year they're getting 2. And that's going to bring it back to an even number. Because adding in this team this year, it's going to bring an odd number to the whole league of teams. So they have to bring it back to an even number. But they're not expanding it to the point where it's a 30-team season yet.
So
They're
the goal
gonna
is to
do
get
it-
to 30.
I don't know that their goal is going to get to 30. I think the WNBA is probably going to stick more the 18 to 20. Where it's got enough of image that people are going to want to watch. There's enough cities that people are going to be able to get to these games to bring it up. I don't foresee it getting to 30, at least not in our lifetime.
I just honestly, I just can't get into it. And
You really should, because
no disrespect to the young ladies, because there is some great basketball being played. There is some great basketball,
some phenomenal basketball.
But you know who I didn't used to like watching in the NBA? Tim Duncan. And Shaq called him was the great fundamental, right? It was hard to watch him play because it was the same. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to shoot it over your head, off the glass, bank shot, into the basket. And I find that
he made it look like it didn't really require skill if you just practice the same shot.
And a lot of the ladies basketball seems to be very technical as far as how they play. A lot of fundamental basketball. And
you're right. For the most part, that is a lot of the WNBA. It's a lot of tactical play. But in recent years, the last, we'll say 2-3 years, players like Brittany Griner, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark have come in, making it a slightly more physical game. It's becoming more like the 90s Bulls.
No, you keep don't do that.
No,
Don't do that.
I'm not saying it is them. I'm saying it's becoming more like that, where you've got that at least one player who's getting out there and body checking you and actually pushing on you and not just, I'm gonna stand right here and put my hands up.
Okay, so you're okay. So
bringing more physicality into the game.
Okay, so not the Bulls. We're talking more Pistons.
Okay, yeah, we'll go with
Detroit
Pistons.
Bad Boy Pistons.
Yeah, we can go. We can go with that.
I can watch that. I can watch that. I like.
And these three players are going to bring more of that into it. And I think over the next few years, we're going to start seeing more physical female WNBA players into the WNBA and more physicality in college as well. Because you're right. Over the last decade, women's basketball in general, college, high school, and the WNBA has kind of become lackluster. It's become way more of a technical game, lower scoring, but a lot of precision in their shots and a lot of precision in their passing, which is building the fundamentals. But now you've got these players that were brought up playing physical, and they're coming into that WNBA, into that college experience now. I think that's more what the future of the game is going to be.
So let's put a bow on this. Are we talking about 1, 2, 3 as far as the draft next year?
No, I don't think they're going to go 1, 2, 3, but I think all three of them will go. Well, actually, Juju may or may not go into this draft this year. She might not. She's only a sophomore. So
okay.
she may or may not. But Haley and Paige are definitely going in. Paige is projected 1.
Seniors.
Yeah, they're both seniors.
Okay.
Haley actually could have gone last year, but because of the COVID year, she opted to do a 5th year.
Well, a lot of these, and I think it was either Flage or Asia Wilson that was talking about they made more money, NIL money, than going to the WNBA.
And I don't know that Haley stayed behind for the NIL. I haven't seen anything on that, but I know that she opted for the 5th year, and I have a feeling that it's because she wanted to go higher in the draft, and she knew that being in the same draft with Caitlin was going to push her down.
Okay. So
I think she made a tactical decision. I don't think she'll go 1. I think Paige is definitely going to go 1. I think Haley goes probably 3 or 4. But the key thing about Haley that I like the most is she's from here in Washington.
okay.
She grew up in Kashmir.
Okay.
Which anybody who likes ablets and cotlets knows where Kashmir is.
Yeah. Cashmere is something that we like to wear. Sweaters is not here.
No. Ablets and cotlets, bro. That's where they're made.
Yeah.
They are made in Kashmir. They're in the heart of apple country.
So Lavelle brought it up. I want to touch on it real quick before we get up out of here. He touched on the portal.
Yes.
And he was saying that Coleman is staying here at the UW. And one of the things was he was concerned about. He says, what happens to those players and those kids who put themselves into the portal and they don't get picked up? What happens to those kids? Are you aware?
I am aware because my daughters actually have friends who have gone into the portal and friends that have thought about going into the portal. From what I have been told by players that have thought about going into it and those that have, if you go into the portal and you do not get picked up, the college you are at, if you're on scholarship, your scholarship is gone.
Oh, yeah.
If the team continues to keep you as a coach, how do you coach that player? That's my thing is if I choose to go to a different team because I don't feel that I'm in the right spot and I want to go play for a different college, but I don't get picked up, I still want to play ball. But as a coach, how would you coach that player now, knowing that they didn't want to play for your team and tried their options?
Well, I think a lot of times with, and I just had to speak to it from the aspect of a coach, is when a player is opting to take the portal to go away, I have to look at myself sometimes and analyze myself as a coach, trying to figure out whether or not, what are the reasons that this player decides that I might want to go somewhere else.
Right.
Because anytime that you have a mass exodus of players from your program and you were there, what is the reason that they leave? Did you lose a defensive coordinator? Did you lose an offensive coordinator? Is there a position coach that went on to somewhere else that is the reason why you're leaving? Was it an academic situation? Like all those things have to come into factor, and then I have to, as much as I'm doing this, say, hey, I got to look at them three.
Right.
And
I agree with that. But like I said, though, as a coach, so let's say you're the coach of a team, and we're not going to use any specific team, but you're the coach of a D1 school, a D1 program. You've been there for 8-9 years. You've got a good record. Okay, you've developed a lot of talent that has gone pro. You've got a guy that you brought into the system, had him for 2 years. All of a sudden, he decides to go into the portal. You haven't lost any of your coaching staff. Your coaching staff has remained the same. He's the only player that opts to leave. He doesn't get picked up. How do you now coach that player?
So what I have to try to figure out and try to find out is why he's trying to leave. And let's say it's somebody sitting in front of him that he can't beat out. How can you be of impact on this team? I knew you would like that.
There you go with that impact.
I knew you would like that. How can I use you to make a bigger impact? Or is it a possibility that we could get you the red shirt if you haven't already burnt your red shirt yet? We have to try to figure out, how do we give these kids an opportunity to actually thrive within the system and be of benefit to the organization and to the program long term? The last thing you really want as a head coach of any program on any level is you really don't want to hear that the program that you played for undervalued your talent. And you have that talent to be shown, right?
Right.
So as a coach, I'm trying to find better ways to use this player. And hey, was you a quarterback? You're 6'5", you run a 4.3. Hey, have you ever thought about playing tight end?
Yeah.
Maybe we want to line you up. I think there was a kid way back in the day that got drafted by Jacksonville. His name was Matt Jones. I don't know if you remember Matt Jones. Matt Jones was a wide receiver. I think they allegedly, he he had substance abuse issues and didn't make it through. Yeah, that exactly.
Yeah.
He had those issues, and I believe that there was a few players during that Jacksonville run that were, yeah. So anyway, but what they did was they took him and they converted him from a quarterback to a wide receiver. He was good enough to actually get drafted.
Yeah.
So how do you, when we say a wide receiver, like Richard Sherman?
Yeah.
Sherman was a wide receiver.
Yes, he was.
Right.
And got converted into corner.
So because
Good choice by him, by the way.
because back then there was no portal to jump in.
Right. And I think that's kind of what the portal has done. Is it gives the coaches less of an opportunity to develop players into better positions for their talents.
Yes. And then the other thing, like you said, how do you coach in that situation?
Yeah, how do you coach it? Especially with all this NIL money, because in my opinion, since the NIL money started coming in, a lot more players are opting into this portal.
Well, you took your scholarship and that you forfeited when you went into the portal, and we gave it to somebody else.
Right.
9 times out of 10, you're probably not coming back.
Right.
You're probably going to walk on to another situation, maybe one that you didn't think of or were aware that was opportunity that was out there for you, and who knows?
Okay, now here's another question for you on that. So you opt into the portal. You don't get picked up. You don't come back because the team already filled your spot. You still got to go to class with these guys.
Not necessarily. I don't even have the scholarship money to pay for the classes anymore.
Right, but there are scholarships out there. So let's say you don't get picked up. You do end up getting a scholarship to cover your schooling, at least. So now you're back in school with your teammates that you opted to leave. What does that do to you?
Okay. So
Yeah.
so look at it this way. Take that from the same aspect of a junior in college saying, I'm just going to put my name into the NFL draft and don't get drafted. What opportunities do you have at that point?
At that point, you have no more college opportunity to play.
But you do have another opportunity, and that is to be a undrafted rookie free agent.
Yes.
And a lot of times being a walk-on is essentially the same type of situation.
Yes.
And maybe you're going to move closer to home as the player, closer to home, somewhere I can actually live at mom and dad's house, if that's an option, and then be able to try to walk on somewhere at the local school.
Yeah, no, I could totally see doing that. I just, the comparison between the transfer portal and going into the draft, though, I think players and coaches of the college team, when you enter the draft, have a different opinion of you than if you were to go into the transfer portal. Because in the portal, I'm looking at as a teammate. If my quarterback decides that he's going to go in the portal, he's thinking he's better than us in general. If he goes into the NFL, he's thinking he's good enough to be there.
Actually, I know of a situation, an NFL player who basically find himself in that situation, but unfortunately there's so many other things around it that have made this whole situation convoluted. So,
Okay.
So I believe it was 2018. There was a quarterback down in San Francisco who had 2 years left on his contract, And because that quarterback had a guarantee clause, an injury guarantee, that the rest of his contract would be guaranteed for the next 2 years, they didn't want to pay him and they didn't want to bring him back at that particular rate. He was given an opportunity because they benched him and he sat on the bench, or he kneeled for a while.
Yeah, I wonder who that was.
He decided, because they basically forced him into renegotiating his contract. He renegotiates his contract. It gives him an out after that season where he would actually have the opportunity to go and become a free agent. Like jumping in the portal, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The problem was nobody picked him up,
Right.
which led to a whole nother situation. And that's not the issue. But I can understand. It's like you're taking the existing contract that I have with this organization and say, you know what? We're going to forego the last couple years and become a free agent and see what's out there. And if you don't get picked up,
It's on you.
there you go.
Right.
So
I think what we both have come to here is that the transfer portal needs to be more understood by the college athlete
it needs
as
to be more
well.
restrictions.
Yeah,
There has to be restrictions.
there's got to be restrictions. There's got to be separation from the NIL thing, because I have this feeling that more people are going into the portal because they feel that by going to this college, they're going to stand out more, which is going to bring them more NIL money. And it's not, I don't see that as fact.
Well, look at okay, so we're looking at the draft this year coming up, right? We
Yeah.
alluded to it. We talked about those quarterbacks, right?
Right.
One of them was Cam Ward.
Yes.
Cam Ward transferred into Wazoo,
Yep.
transferred out of Wazoo into Miami,
Right.
and he's bald.
Oh, yes, he is.
We know that Miami money is some big money.
Yes, it is.
So I'm sure that there is more opportunities for a lot of these kids. And some of these kids, let's be honest, they may not necessarily have the greatest talent or the greatest skill sets, but dealing with some of the coaching staffs, it may have been a situation that was untenable.
Right.
They couldn't get along with the coach,
Right.
and they had to do something had to happen this year.
Yeah. No,
And
and on that aspect, I see going into the transfer portal. You're just not
But if you're
connecting
just
with the
chasing
coach.
a dollar,
Right.
that's a problem.
And I think that's what a lot of these transfers are right now. Is I won't say all of them. I'll say probably 50% of them. They're transferring out of the program that they committed to because they know that if they go to LA or they go to Vegas or they go to New York, there's going to be more NIL money available to them. Not because the program is better or they like those coaching better or
Right.
or that. They're making it based off of that financial opportunity.
Right.
And that's a huge problem in my books.
Well, I don't know if you paid any attention to what's going on around us. This place,
It's popping.
yeah, we're over here at the Waterland Arcade, man, and they are air hockeying to death right now. All I can hear is the ping, ping, ping of the air hockey puck, and it is packed in here, man. If you get a chance, get down to Des Moines. If you're anywhere down towards Des Moines, and get on down here, man, and check out the Waterland Arcade. This place has all the vintage games from my young 1990s childhood, my teenage years.
We got some late 80s, early 90s stuff in here.
I mean, and you know what? They got so many pinball machines in here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's like 20, 25 of them.
Yeah, hey man. But get on down here, and I guess it's $15 unlimited play.
It is $15 unlimited play.
Man.
They also have a monthly package that you can buy,
A monthly pack. Look,
and you can even rent it out for your parties.
they also do karaoke up in here.
Do. They do karaoke.
Man.
They do all kinds of stuff in here. Noon to midnight, or noon to 11.
Noon to 11. So this is the place to be. If you're looking for somewhere to throw your teens next party or your little guys next party, man, think about
Or
the
hell,
Waterland
even your
Arcade.
own party.
Hey, yeah, if you think about a grown folks party, check out the Waterland Arcade, man. This is a special place. We love it here. Everything is always jumping and popping in this building. Especially right now. I don't know what is happening. There's so many. I'm watching them shoot baskets. I'm seeing them play again. Man, hey man, Saturdays at the Waterland, man. Teresa, you know it. It's the Waterland.